Today, we are diving into the story of one of the most powerful kings in all of history, Louis XIV of France. But, this isn't going to be the story you think it is. This isn't about golden palaces and absolute power. Oh no. This is about the grotesque, shocking secret he was hiding in plain sight.
I mean, that one line just says it all, doesn't it? It's this incredible, unbelievable contradiction that's really at the heart of his story. You have the Sun King, the supposed center of the entire French universe, and yet he's a man whose own body is betraying him in the most awful way you can imagine.
So this is the paradox we're going to unpack. On one hand, you have the myth, the Sun King, this divine figure who's the walking embodiment of perfection. But then, on the other hand, you have this horrifying reality, a man who is literally rotting from the inside out. It's just a shocking contrast to the perfect golden image he worked so hard to create. To really understand this contrast, you have to understand this stage he built for himself. We have to go to Versailles. It was the ultimate symbol of his power, of his control, of the myth he was building. And his reign was just immense. He became king when he was just a toddler, and he ruled all the way until his death in 1715. For decades, he was France. He built Versailles to be the center of his universe, but right around the turn of the century, a dark shadow starts to fall over this golden age. It was the beginning of his body's end. 72 years. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is how long Louis XIV ruled France. It's one of the longest reigns of any monarch in European history, period. And with that much time, well, he had more than enough of it to build this image of himself as something eternal, something untouchable, a god on earth. And you can see exactly how he did it right here. Life at Versailles, it wasn't just about luxury. It was pure theater. The king's entire day was just a series of public rituals. The nobility, they would literally fight for the honor of watching him wake up, get dressed, even watch him go to bed at night. Every single action was a performance, and it was all designed to reinforce his divine status. But underneath all the powdered wigs and behind those famous gilded mirrors, that divine image, it began to crack. A very human and very foul reality started to seep through the facade. It probably started quietly, a nagging pain, an illness that just wouldn't go away. But soon enough, that pain turned into a relentless infection, something that the best doctors in the entire kingdom were completely powerless to stop. The symbol of perfection was slowly becoming a vessel of disease. And the so-called treatments they tried back then, well, they were absolutely horrifying. The doctors subjected him to constant bleeding and purges. They fed him literal poisons like powders made from mercury. And when all of that, of course, failed, they resorted to cutting and burning the infected flesh. Every single procedure didn't heal him. It just left him weaker and in more and more agony. And this is where the story turns truly grotesque. The infection got so bad that the stench of rot was inescapable. It literally filled the grand halls of Versailles. Can you even imagine being a courtier, bowing before a man you're supposed to treat like a god, all while trying not to gag from the smell of his decaying body? And here's what's maybe the most incredible part of all. Louis refused to stop the performance. Every single day he sat through the public rituals, the state dinners, all while his body was visibly and olfactorily collapsing. For him, you see, showing any weakness was a far greater failure than even death itself. But this story isn't just about one man's physical body. The sickness of the king became this powerful, unavoidable metaphor for the sickness of his entire kingdom. And this really shows you the profound disconnect. Inside the palace walls, you have this fantasy world of gold and performance and games. But outside, France was suffering. Decades of Louis's endless wars and these crushing taxes were draining the nation dry. The rot in the king's body was starting to look a lot like the decay of the state itself. So the very system of absolute power he had perfected was now working against him. Nobody, and I mean nobody, dared to say the obvious truth. The king is dying. So everyone just played along, pretending he was immortal, even as the evidence of his decay filled the very air they were all breathing. The entire court was just paralyzed by denial. So all of this builds to an inevitable and really dramatic conclusion. And even in his final days, the Sun King was determined to control the narrative, to make his own death the ultimate public performance. By 1715, it was just awful. Gangrene had completely consumed his leg. You can see his pain level was maxed out, and the medicine they were giving him was basically useless.
But look at his public authority. The image he projected, it was still immense. He was orchestrating his own exit from the world stage right to the very end.
Surrounded by his court, he offered this stunning confession to his young successor. After a lifetime spent chasing glory through battle, here was this moment of startling clarity, of regret. A final warning that the very wars that built his legend had also bled his kingdom to its knees.
So, what is his legacy then? Well, it's this profound paradox. On the one hand, you've got Versailles, this breathtaking monument to ambition that still awes people today. But on the other, you have the haunting truth of his final years, a chilling warning that no amount of gold or power can hold back the simple biological reality of decay.
It leaves us with this final, lingering question. Louis XIV built an image so powerful it's lasted for centuries. But his story is also this visceral reminder of the fragile, decaying human body at the center of it all. So what truly endures in the end? The golden myth we create, or the stench of reality?